take just a few minutes. Number one, I think I was 25 or so in there. When I first started working with Soupy. Probably him and Kenny and I think the drummer we had back then. But there was three people. I was in Cocktail Rangers running around the bar in Middlesbrough when I worked with these guys. So we're talking a few years. But Soupy, I love you with all my heart, and you still get it on, babe. And I love you. Now we got another story to go to. Kenny Pittner. I met Kenny Pittner through Don Ward 3 or 4 years back. And Janice she's always been my niece. And I really got acquainted with Kenny Pittner at one of the camp houses. And 3 years ago. And ever since then, he has promoted the camp house. He has brought people down from Rio Vista, Placerville, and we've had a great time. And not only that, Kenny Pittner has worked with some of the most top musicians in the world, Johnny Cash, Gordon Perry, and I can't even Win Stewart, help me, Kenny, help me. Some of the time, I've seen pictures of these people with him, Leslie Burdell, I've seen pictures with him, with these, and Eddie Dean, all these people. Win Stewart, and I've seen pictures with this man, Freddie Hart, yes, Marty Robbins. I've seen pictures of this man on the stage with these people.
The guy that took over my ex-wife, Fort Atkins.
Which happens to live in Oklahoma, so far.
Yeah, another old people.
And she gave him my brand new Gil custom-made guitar for Gil people.
Anyway, he is probably one of the nicest people that I've ever met. He's like all of my friends that are here today. And I love you dearly, Kenny. And I love you, Janice.
One more, Bob.
And we thank you, Kenny.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
I got to tell something on Kenny Ford. You can't tell.
Well, you're going to tell about when we all went to the gay bar in L.A.? Yeah, right.
Well, since his nieces are here and his daughter was here, and Kenny, if anybody don't know Kenny personally, he's kind of like he's reserved. That's BS. He's just one chicken fighter that just lost a chicken. Anyway, we were working up in Sonora. No, we were working up in Jamestown at Rawhide Saloon. So make it here, 1960 yellow Ford. Now this Ford was tough, boy. So anyway, we get about halfway down the hill, and we got to make a pit stop. Okay. So we get out and Kenny pull upside the road, and we made our little pit stop. Got back in the car. Kenny board, because you don't ever go over slow. And all of a sudden we hear this man, Kenny, man, we went over something. And what he did when we got so close to a barbed wire fence, went over the door and wrapped around the handle. And that's something that took about 10 miles barbed wire fence. Let's go. I tell you a lot of stories about me. We were known as the Candy Man, and we were known as the Egg Country, and we kind of drifted apart and went with other bands, but I've had a lot of, we went up and, one day we went up to a jam session up in Hayward. Well, we got up there about 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. We didn't come home about 2 days. It was a good time. People don't do things like that anymore. Then there's old Lee Taylor. That's my buddy Lee Taylor. And if he ever disappointed, he'll never carry another beer can and stay on board. Thank you very much, folks.
It's on.
I got to tell y'all, Johnny Cash is probably one of the finest friends that I ever had in country music. You hear a lot of stories about Johnny Cash, well, probably hear a lot of stories about me and everybody else. Johnny Cash was a true person. Sure, he screwed up a little bit once in a while, but we all did that. Johnny Cash never was in prison. He spent 3 days in jail. He did Folsom Prison, and he did all the concerts. Everybody thought he'd been in Folsom Prison. Closest he was in jail was Mississippi and El Paso, Texas. But, you know, we've all did it. He just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I want to tell you all a story about Johnny Cash. He's not here, bless his heart, but he's a lovely person. In 1960, I think 1968 or 64, Shep Woolley and Curly Lewis put up a bunch of homes up in the mountains up there, out Ventura, Ohio. Well, that's when Johnny moved up there, and at that time he was married to Vivian. And we all got acquainted back then, and thanks to Lefty, I met him a long time before that. Anyhow, this friend of mine, the sergeant on the Ventura PD, got a call one afternoon on the weekend. He said, "Kenny, we got a problem." Well, what do you mean you got a problem? He said, "Well, Johnny Cash is down in the park, Ventura Park, sitting in the trunk of that big old long black Cadillac." And he says, he just ain't sort of talking too much. So I go down there and I say, "John, what are you doing?" "Oh man," he says, "beautiful weather here in Dallas." He says, I really need a cup of coffee." I said, "Okay, I'll go get you some coffee." Winkler and I went down to some little place down there, come back and coffee. Johnny was gone. Probably about 15 minutes later, we hear this call out on the Ohio Freeway. They had just built the Ohio Freeway. And they was following this young cadet. Ventura PD was following this big old black Cadillac down the road. He finally got him stopped. We get up there, and Johnny, he was there. Well, they wrote Johnny a ticket, and he only lived, he was about a mile from his house. So that was back in the good old days. He went home, so I don't know exactly when it was. A week or so, he had a court appearance there in Ventura. The judge asked him, he said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "I just wanted to see if I could outrun the police car." And that's all that was ever said. But Johnny was a fine, fine person, and it really gets to me sometimes when I hear people say, "Johnny did this, Johnny's done that." Johnny didn't do any more than the rest of us. Johnny did have a little problem. Well, I'm like Forrest Gump. I guess that's all I can say about that.